Hello everyone, welcome back to another Tips Tuesday video. Today I want to expand on the concept of building your compositions before you actually start taking a photo. And that starts with just spending a few seconds, a few minutes of observation before you actually raise your camera and take the photos. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of wildlife photographers make is they search for an animal. When they find the animal, they raise their camera, immediately start taking photos. Instead, some of the best compositions come from taking a few seconds of observation first, looking at different aspects of the image, and then taking a photo after you position yourself in the best location possible. So the first thing to resist is the urge to immediately start taking an image. I know it's hard to do, especially when you find and locate a subject you've never seen before, but instead of just immediately starting to take photos, pause, look around, look at all the other elements in the image before you start taking a photo. It's going to result in much better compositions. A lot of times when you just raise your camera and start taking images, you take a lot of images. A lot of them look the same. And then when you come home, you think, oh, well, this stick is in the way that ruins it, or the subject is just centered in the frame. Why did I do that? I should have put them off to one side or the other. And that's where slowing down and observing things really allows you to improve upon that and eliminate a lot of those common mistakes. And if you actually locate a subject, you want to look at what it's doing, look at its behavior. Is it foraging? Is it moving around? Which way is it going? Is it facing a certain direction? All of these things will allow you to kind of anticipate the activity that the animal is going to do, so you can position yourself ahead of that activity, like we mentioned in previous Tips Tuesday videos. And the more time you spend observing animals, the more time you start to recognize that animals oftentimes tell you what they're going to do before they actually do it, when you start to recognize their behaviors and their patterns. And this comes down to being able to read the scene around you. And I constantly do this as I'm walking through the forest, even when I don't have a subject in front of me. So number one, where's the light coming from? So right now I'm in the forest. I'm going down to a little pond in the forest, and I'm looking at and evaluating the entire scene in front of me. So the sun is coming up from that way. It's coming down, filtering in through the trees. So that half of the pond is fully illuminated, really bright. Just a lot of, not really the best opportunity for photographs. If I was over there, probably my highlights would be blown out. I wouldn't really get very good results on that side. But this half of the pond is in shadow. The sun hasn't come up too high yet, so that's going to give me my best opportunity for lighting. Next, you want to think about, well, how long am I going to be in this location? Is the light going to change at that time? How is it going to change? And you want to set yourself up at a location so you can take advantage of the best lighting while anticipating how that light's going to change, so that as that light changes, you don't have to move because of that. Because the more you move, the more the wildlife is going to stay away from that location. It's also important to note that I'm coming down and setting myself up along this pond with the hopes of finding some sandpipers that are migrating through the area. But right now, I don't see them. But that doesn't mean that they're not here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to set myself up in these locations that have the best potential for good compositions, even though the subject of the image is not actually there yet. So what I'm looking at is a variety of different things. Number one, where the light's coming from, but also thinking about, okay, what's my background going to look like? So if I set myself up on this location, I'm going to be shooting into some really bright backgrounds. It's not going to be very pleasing. But instead, if I'm shooting this way, I'll take advantage of the more filtered light from the sun coming through the trees, but also be shooting into a darker section for the background. And I'm also looking at other potential opportunities for subjects that might enter the area. So if the sandpipers are not actually in this location anymore, I'm looking at, okay, what else could be good opportunities? I see some cardinal flowers, which are a bright red wildflower, flowering along the banks on that side. Hummingbirds forage on those wildflowers. Okay, if I set myself up close to that, that might give me a secondary opportunity to photograph that subject. There's also some down trees, some down branches. Okay, those are good perching areas for phoebes or other bird species that might be in the area. So that gives me a good opportunity there as well. So even if my main subject isn't going to be in this location, I'm thinking about, okay, what are my other opportunities so I can maximize my time here? And it's important to think about those things, especially when you only have a short amount of time at a location. Like for me, I have maybe an hour to spend here photographing things. So I want to maximize that time and try to set myself up at a location where I'm going to have the highest potential of different variety of subjects in front of me at that time. And a lot of times the best backgrounds happen when you pre-plan it and you kind of know what your perch is or know where the animal is going to be or entering from, because that's when you can really have the good planned, beautiful backgrounds without any distractions in it. This is where understanding wildlife behavior, being a good naturalist, really comes into play, because you want to anticipate what's happening instead of having to react to it. So because there's no subjects here to photograph, a lot of times, a lot of folks will actually just leave this area because, oh, there's nothing here to photograph, I'm not going to waste my time here. But instead, understanding that there's a lot of activity that's likely to happen at this location and spending time here while there's nothing here is going to allow the subject to naturally move in. You're going to get better compositions, closer encounters, and better photo opportunities. And by taking a few minutes of planning, a few minutes of observation, it's going to allow you to anticipate where the subjects are likely going to come from, how they're going to move about the landscape, where they're likely to perch, what they're going to likely do on those perches, which direction they're going to fly to or from. And that's going to allow you to get some really good photo opportunities. And when you start working backwards in this fashion, you get some really good opportunities, some really good planned compositions. And a lot of times the best wildlife photos don't come from reacting to what happens in front of you. It comes from anticipating what's going to happen in front of you based on understanding all the elements that make up a photo, understanding wildlife behavior, and putting all of those things together after you place yourself in the best location possible. Spending just a few seconds, a few minutes beforehand, kind of planning where you're going to set yourself up can really go a long way in getting the photos that you're looking for. So that's it for this week's Tips Tuesday. Next week, we're going to expand on this even further. So until then, I'll see you next time.